groups so that a lot of people can see you. But we're this meeting is live right now. Hey, what's up, Ward Wrestling Live? I'm honored tonight to have two-time NCAA champion Yianni D on. I don't know that I need to go through all his accolades. I'm pretty sure everybody out there knows who he is and what he's done. He's a Spartan athlete. He's on representing Spartan tonight yes, he is a Cornell wrestler and does represent them, but his affiliation now is with Spartan, and we've got a huge Spartan national event coming up here in Florida, in Jacksonville, and he's going to be down here, and we're going to talk a lot about that and what he's looking forward to do by coming down here and just getting to be around these kids and what it means to him to give back and kind of what he's looking forward to doing while down here. But first of all, welcome, Yianni, man, to have you on again. It's super cool, and it's nice to see you on the other side of COVID, being able to wrestle and do your thing again.
Yeah, I mean, thank you for having me on. And yeah, right, it's good to, situation is getting better, and I'm glad we're starting to make our way out of there and start getting back to normal a little bit.
Yeah, it's a great thing. And first of all, congratulations on your season. Congratulations on your second NCAA championship. Man, to see the Ivy Leagues back at that tournament was fun. So congratulations there, man. What did it mean to you to kind of be back in the full swing of things this year?
Yeah, I mean, I had 2 seasons, and then everything hit. I had my red shirts, I had COVID, so it had been a while. And coming back, winning my 3rd title this year, it was good. Being back in that atmosphere, having the big crowd, all the cameras, the lights, the sounds, cheering, all that. So it was a lot of fun getting back out there, and 3 down, 1 to go, and I'm excited that I got one more chance at it.
Hey, and I think the crowd in there was excited to see you and your fellow Ivy Leaguers there again too. I mean, you guys really showed up this year, but this is the first year. Well, 2 things, and then we'll get into Spartan and what you're doing with Spartan and their tournament and the upcoming things you have there. But this was the first year you had your brother with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, Greg was around a little bit last year, but he was redshirt, so he was kind of on his own training schedule, his own plan. But this year we were in the room every day together, same training schedule, same plan, and it's good. We've gotten a lot closer. We live together now, so it's been awesome having him here, and I'm glad I got one more year of being on the same team.
It's awesome, and I usually ask this about brothers, like, better feeling seeing him win or winning yourself?
No, I definitely get a lot more worked up for his matches. Both my brothers. I mean, when my brothers are wrestling, I'm so much more worked up. I feel like when I wrestle, I'm like, I got this. This is my situation. I have control. But when he's wrestling, it's so nerve-wracking. It's so intense, so nervous. So I mean, yeah, it's a completely different kind of stress and kind of pressure when he's out there.
Man, that's awesome. So anyway, you got back to the tournament. You made the run. You got to meet somebody who kind of made it tough for you at the Cliff Keen, and you got to kind of avenge that loss. Great wrestler, and happy for him to get the runner-up. But what was that feeling to finally close it out and get that NCAA championship, and then now get that behind you?
Yeah, I mean, I really wanted to wrestle him again. I wasn't super happy with how the match went in Vegas, and I knew I could wrestle better than that or whatever. So I'm glad I had that chance. And he's awesome. He's a really good wrestler. He had a great tournament, so I'm looking forward to wrestling him again next year and seeing how his career plays out after that too.
Cool. So now with everything, with the landscape changing for college athletes, you've decided that Spartan was the best fit for you as an athlete with Joe DeSena and the crew over there. And they're obviously very, very involved now in the combat side and the wrestling side. As you know, they have an RTC up there, RTC now down here. We're gonna see you down here at the Spartan Nationals, man. What are you looking forward to most about getting to come down here and being in that atmosphere?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited. Wrestling in the Southeast has been growing a lot, the last couple of years. And, it's cool. It's cool to see that, I mean, it's starting to even out that, not all the towns being isolated into one chunk of the country. Right. So I'm excited to be down there. I'm going to be teaching some technique along with Vito, David Carr, Kylie Welker, and I think Shane Griffith too. So I'm excited to be down there. I'm excited to be involved with all this and, see what these guys in the South have to show,
Yeah. And for sure, what does it mean to you to be able to come back to events like this and be able to give back to these kids and spend time with them? And I'm imagining you're going to be able to get some one-on-one time with these kids, be able to take some photos with them, spend some pictures. Even I'm sure you can't help yourself. You'll be watching them wrestling and kind of helping them with their technique and giving them some advice. I mean, this is all cool stuff, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm competing is the most common time, right, where I have a chance to interact with, the people who appreciate my wrestling. But it's hard, I'm wrestling, I'm cutting weight, I got stuff to focus on. So I don't have a lot of opportunities to talk with the people, you know what I mean? And stuff like this is great. You get to sit down for a minute, talk to a kid about their wrestling, or, watch the young guys wrestle, see what, I remember doing that when I was 10, 11, 12, 13 years old. So it's a cool opportunity for me. I like I said, I don't get enough opportunities to kind of give back to the people who follow me and who appreciate my wrestling. So this is good for me too.
Well, when you come down here, we're actually trying to get people to get signed up for all the three different classes. So we've got freestyle, folk style, Greco, all going on the individual tournament. What would you tell? First of all, we've got some codes that we're going to give out to be able to get you all three for $75, and we'll get that all out to everybody. But on top of that, you're going to get a Spartan shirt signed by Yianni, and you can have him have nuts on there if you want, the famous saying that he's got now out there. But and we're going to raffle off a private with you, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really important that you get that freestyle and Greco experience. Wrestling freestyle definitely helped elevate my game a lot. And, I believe just for the sake of development, right, that stuff's really important. So I'm glad that I have a chance to, positively influence and positively reinforce those behaviors, right? So, yeah, I think we'll be doing, a private workout, somehow, and we'll be doing some, signing, autograph, t-shirt kind of stuff. So, and like I said, I'm glad that I can help be a part of that. I really think it's important to get involved with those international styles, right? I think that's going to help positively influence these guys wrestling. So it's going to be any way I can help support that, push kids towards that. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you, how important was it to have the other styles in kind of growing up and being able to get involved in freestyle and Greco? How did that, essentially help your folk style game through the point where you're at right now?
Yeah, I mean, freestyle, and it encourages forward pressure, right? Because of the push out, it encourages proper technique, because there's so many more ways a guy can score on you that you have to execute really well. You can't go to your back, so the scrambling's a little bit different. It's a little bit more about controlling the situation as opposed to kind of Houdiniing out, right? So I think that the rule set for freestyle kind of positively reinforces skill-based wrestling versus, that grit, strength, tough, aspect of folk style. And because of that, I think it really helps the game, right? Develops your skills in a way that you can kind of ignore by exclusively doing folk style. So I think that, from my own experience, it did a lot for me. So I think that competing freestyle, training freestyle, even Greco too, I think that's really valuable for your development.
Around the country, we always see people sponsoring or promoting events, and they say, we're going to have this athlete there, this athlete there, this athlete there. And a lot of times you show up and the athlete is hidden behind a table, or the athlete is somewhere in a corner where it's so hard to access them. When you guys come down here, you and your guys, how accessible are you when you're at these Spartan events?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be walking around, we'll be watching matches. I'd like to at least. I think we're all going to be teaching, so you'll be guaranteed some time there with us. And I think, this is a really good opportunity if you're a young guy, to get yourself around some college guys who are even, succeeding at the senior level, and, have a chance to pick their brains a little bit, see how Vito trains, see how David trains, how Kylie trains, if you're an up and coming women's wrestler. I mean, she's incredibly successful, and she's not even in college yet, and she's in the finals and Olympic trials. So I think having guys like, me, Vito, David, Kylie around, right, that's super. There's a lot of information, a lot of tricks of the trade that, we figured out that I think is it's a good resource. It's a good tool that you get to have access to. So I think that's something that you should try to take advantage of, especially if you're already coming, take advantage of that. And if you're near where the tournament's going on, in Florida, if you have a chance to get down there, I think it'd be really valuable for you.
Yeah, and it can change a kid's life. I mean, I know I have children, and I know my son. We were talking about earlier too. I mean, almost 2 years now, when I had you on the show, and he got to sit there and ask you some questions and pick your brain and kind of learn how you think. And fast forward, 18 months later, he was in a little bit of of what we talked about, a little bit of funk, and I was able to grab that clip of what you said and give that to him. What are some questions that you commonly get asked when kind of walking around at a youth program?
I mean, guys will ask me, what kind of stuff I was doing when I was that age. What was I working on? Because obviously, I'm not married, I don't have kids or anything, but I can understand, as a parent, especially if you're kind of new to the sport, it's confusing, especially the way it was with my dad and I. We didn't really know if what we were doing was right. We were kind of just hoping that we were getting it right, so we tried to get as much information and take advantage of every resource that we could. And I think as a youth parent, it can be tough, because there's certain things that are going to make you succeed at the youth level that are going to hurt you in the long term. And there's certain things that are going to make you fail at the youth level that are going to benefit you in the long term. So it can be disheartening, it can be challenging, it can be confusing at times. So I think, I think the best thing to ask a guy, like on any of the people that are involved with this tournament, right, is you want to ask them, what were you working on? What was valuable to you as a kid? And I think that, because of, especially, with me, and I know how Vito was growing up, our dads or our coaches, we kind of just had to figure it out. And, we know what works for us, and we'd like to, help people out if they think we could.
I mean, anybody out there, I know right now, usually when we're live, we get a small amount of people watching. And then when we release the video after the live is when we really pick up the viewers. So you may not be listening to this right now, but when you hear this, I mean, this is invaluable for your children to get an opportunity to walk into the Spartan Nationals and be able to ask one of your heroes, your idols, a kid you watch, a guy you watch, pick his brain and questions. How many opportunities are you going to have to talk to NCAA champions, world champions, Vito, to pick his brain on the concept of the Russian styles and stuff like that he learned from his dad. Like, I had his dad on, and it's crazy talking to him and the different things that he was telling me about their thought process growing up was insane. And just to be able to be in the same room with a group of guys and gals like this at Spartan Nationals and be able to ask them questions, that one thing just may click and change the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a lot of crucial moments in my development in youth wrestling where, I went to a camp, or I wrestled a kid, or I trained with a guy that, it changed the way you view the sport. And, sometimes all it takes is a 5-minute conversation to just be exposed to something, or, you know, a 1 hour, quick conference like that. And I think that, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everybody's going to have their life changed, right? But you don't know. Like, you can get something that you might not have thought of, you might not have been exposed to just because of who you're around or who's coaching you. And, that can completely change your wrestling for the better. I mean, I can think about, when I was 10 years old, Ben Askren coming and teaching his Cradle series at a camp. I thought it was cool, so I worked on it, and that's my thing. Don't shoot on me. It completely changed. It completely added the entire aspect to my wrestling that wasn't really there before. So, I think that this is a really valuable opportunity to learn some things from some guys who have been through it. Not just guys, all of us, right? Veterans in the sport, not veterans, but we've been around the game. We've been around some really, really high level guys. We've learned from the best of the best in the sport. And so that includes, right, you got our own experiences and you have those who came before us. And this is an opportunity for us to pass that down to the guys coming up.
And it's awesome. Now, Coach Westlager just asked here, he said, so you had just said there's certain things that'll make you fail at the youth level that you'd benefit from long-term. Can you elaborate?
So I can give you an example. Like when you're 8, 9, 10, 11 years old, cement mixers, head blocks, those are the kind of things that, and I'm not going to tell you that don't work, but those are the things that can make you a really dynamite youth wrestler, right? If you have a strong kid with a good headlock or a good cement mixer or a good, kid dump, that's going to make you really successful. But in the long run, I would argue if you spend more of your time focusing on developing a good single leg, good high crotch, arm drag, underhook, whatever it is, a quality move that's going to work on the best of the best guys, I think that's going to give you a better return on investment. But like, I can think of stories when I was, 10 years old, and I would take a kid down 5 times with a single leg and get headlocked to my back 1 time. And now I'm losing. I got to take him down 3 more times, get headlocked again, and I lose, right? But those are the matches where, I'm sitting there crying because I lost. My dad's telling me, don't worry about it. Keep doing what we tell you. Just you gotta trust me. And it's hard. Me saying this on a podcast, that makes sense, right? Working on a single leg instead of a headlock, that makes sense. But it's hard when you're 8 years old and you're getting headlocked on the top of your head by some kid and your parents tell you, no, just keep shooting. It's hard. It can be demoralizing at times, but that's the stuff that, and my dad was like that with everything with me. It was always what's going to make me succeed, big picture, and let's not worry about the immediate success. Let's get that big picture down.
Yeah, because a lot of people will say, well, that's Yianni. He's been winning since he was 7. But I've heard you tell stories where you lost for a long time, or you got killed for a while before you started to kind of figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, I was never like, I always won the matches, you know what I mean? But I was not a superstar as a kid. I was pretty good. I wrestled hard and I wanted to win, which helped me win matches, but I was not one of those guys who was like pinning his way through the state tournament every year. You know what I mean? But, we worked and we put time in and we invested, my focus into the right stuff. And after some time, 6th, 7th grade, that was when I started doing really well in the national team, even a little younger than that, 5th grade or whatever. But, when I was 5, 6 years old, I wasn't a killer. When I was 8 years old, I wasn't good like that. You know what I mean? But it took years, a couple of years, but you get returned, and you just gotta buy into that. You gotta trust who's working with your kids, if you think they're doing a good job, and you can't be afraid of losing matches when you're 8 years old. It feels when in the moment like it's such a big deal. You know what I mean? You're like, I want him to be good. But I just think if you really focus on developing those good moves, go ahead, teach them an arm bar, teach them a smash or whatever. But if you really spend most of your time developing the basics, single leg, high crotch, arm drag, sprawl, underhook, whatever you want that kid's system to be, I think that stuff's going to really help in the long term.
That's awesome. And so we're going to see you guys kind of show some of these things at Spartan. We're going to see some technique stuff come from these athletes. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if you see these athletes, a kid comes off the mat and they're kind of frustrated, and all of a sudden you see a Yianni over there with them going, "Hey, you hooked it like this. You should, next time try this. Here, try this." And this is stuff that you're going to get to see at Spartan Nationals. This is the stuff you're going to get to experience at Spartan Nationals. Yes, you're going to get to do a lot of wrestling. We want you to do all 3 classes. We want you to experience the whole weekend, right? We want you to have a great time, but we also want you to get the opportunity to talk to these guys, pick their brain, get their knowledge, and go home and go, "Wow, that was really cool. I'm going to work on my whatever that Carr taught me, Yianni taught me, Welker taught me," and hopefully you take something away from there and go, "Wow, that was really worth the money."
Yeah, I mean, like I said, kind of in the beginning, I really think that, I can tell, like, a lot of people support me. They root for me. They're buying stuff with my name on it. They're rooting for me to win matches, and I don't really have a chance to ever pay back to those people. You know what I mean? I'm when I'm around them, I'm competing. So I think something like this, I gotta do as much as I can to give back. If that means I'm grabbing kids after they wrestle, I'm taking pictures, I'm teaching moves, whatever it is. I don't get a lot of chances like this where I can be around people and spend a day, not focusing on myself, not focusing on what the next match, right? I'm at a tournament. I'm not wrestling. I'm making myself available for these kids. And I think that that's something really important that I do.
Yeah, it's going to be great, man. You're going to get to get pictures with these guys. You're going to get your shirts. Once again, you sign up for all 3. We have some codes. Just DM me. I can post them on the comments. We've got codes to get you all 3 styles for one low price of $75 going into the tournament next week. If you wrestle all 3, you're going to get a Spartan shirt signed by one of your favorite athletes, or all 4 of them. Or me, I could sign it, but you probably don't want me to sign it. But Yianni and the crew will sign it for you. They'll take pictures with you. They'll take pictures with you and your team. They'll sit and talk with your team. I mean, they're going to be very accessible, everybody. Please come out. Please join us. It's going to be a really good time. Now, I know, Yianni, we only have a few minutes left. I know you've got to go, but one quick thing, and somebody was asking about the mindset thing, and I remember we spoke a little bit a few years ago, and my son asked you a question, and you answered it amazingly. First of all, this gentleman is asking about your mindset going into like a typical practice, and how a high level athlete keeps that approach and mindset to stay on track with their training. But also, I think one of the questions was too, when you're a kid and you want to be the average kid and you want to go to the beach with your buddies and you want to go, how, looking back at that now, how it was frustrating, but it was for a reason, right?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of that comes from, my parents, right? I mean, I think about my dad when I was younger, used to always give us this speech about how everyone wants to eat ice cream every day for breakfast or whatever, but if you choose broccoli over ice cream more times, you're gonna be better, right? It's better for you. Even though ice cream in the short term is gonna make you feel good and it tastes good, in the long run, you're gonna be unhealthy or whatever. And if you eat broccoli every day in the short term, it's not gonna be, as good as ice cream. But in the long run, you're gonna be better off. And for my little 10-year-old brain, that was kind of what made sense to me. It's and when you're 10, it's hard to be like, "What do you mean broccoli? I want ice cream, Dad. What are you talking about?" But I just, at a young age, I was fortunate enough to have people around me, like my parents, who understood that I wanted to be great. I couldn't do average things. I mean, if I want, you get what you put in. So if I put in an average amount of work and I'm working an average number of hours and I'm doing an average amount of effort, I'm going to get an average amount out. And if you're okay with that, then that's fine. But that you can't expect greatness not doing a great amount of work and a great quality of work. So when I was a kid, I was like, all right, if I want to be really good, I got to work harder than the guys who are very good, right? Because I want to be better than them. So if the guy who's very good, right? I mean, and you know what these kids are doing nowadays, right? They're doing 2 workouts, they're doing extra, they're being good with their diets, all this stuff, right? And it's hard. But, you know, you gotta understand that things are going to reward you in the short term. They're temporary, they go away. And I'm not saying you can never have fun, but the more that you choose the hard work and the committed stuff over the fun, the more you're going to get out of it, you know, and eventually it's going to become fulfilling where you feel good about doing the harder thing, making the right choice before you even get that payback because you understand what it's doing for you.
And one great thing you said was, if you want to be, I think you said it on my show, but I'm sure you've said it on many shows, is you said, if you want to be the average kid, you can be average, but you can't be mad if you lose.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue it's very unfair to expect to do an average amount of work and commit an average amount of time and expect to be better than average. I mean, and it might be a little harsh and it might be unfair because maybe some kids don't work as hard as you, but it's just, you know, it's the reality of our world, right? In most cases, right? The people who are succeeding are working really hard. And wrestling is the most pure form of that to me because yes, there's guys with natural ability and there's guys with better resources, but in reality, if you have a pretty good coach and you have a wrestling room and you have one guy who can push you, you can get very far. And the harder you work, the more people recognize that and the more opportunities are going to present themselves to you. But it starts with you. And I understand that, you know, not everybody, you know, whatever has same chances. But, you know, for the most part, the work that you put in, you're going to get it out. You're going to get it out every time. If you know, you're doing an hour of extra work a day, every day, it's going to add up. It's going to add up. And, you know, I mean, I just know what I was doing as a kid. I'm not going to tell you that I was the hardest working kid in the country, right? That's unrealistic. But I was doing a lot and I was doing more. And, you know, I was watching film. I was talking wrestling at a very young age. And it doesn't always have to be, you know, hammering the wall. It can be technique. It can be, you know, mindset. It can be diet. It can be little things that aren't going to kill you. You know, I mean, it's not the same as running sprints every day. There's little things that you can do that are going to always help you improve. And the more of those things that you can incorporate into your life, the more you're going to get out.
And guys, we're going to have Yianni at Spartan. So I could sit here all night with you and answer all your questions, but that would defeat the purpose. Let's get you guys out there. Let's get you in front of Yianni. Jason, I want to see you out there, buddy. Alfred Sands, come on up to Spartan Nationals. Rob Hunt, everybody out there, come up and I know we could sit here for 2 hours with Yianni and everybody's got all these questions to ask him. I too want to sit here for 2 hours with Yianni, and there's so much I could do to pick his brain, but I'm going to wait till I get up to Spartan Nationals and I'm going to hope to get a couple minutes with him myself so my son can chat with him and get some of that mindset game. But yeah. Oh, cool. Thanks, Jason. That's awesome. Got a bunch of kids on teams. Jason, let's get them on in the individual. If you need the codes, message me. I might have sent them to you already. So you know the deal there. So Jason, grab him and get all these answered. But again, Spartan Nationals, April 8th through the 10th. We'll have Yianni and his friends there. David Carr, Vito Welker. I've got Vito coming on tomorrow. I've got Carr coming on Wednesday. And I've got Welker on Thursday. So we'll have some great people to kind of pick their brains here and have questions. But yeah, you want to get more questions in? Go get them at Nationals. Honey, real quick, and I was curious, going into that, You came off your I think it was your semifinal. Was it your semifinal match where you weren't satisfied and you said, I just need to go have nuts?
Yeah.
Your mindset is crazy. You said, I'm a better wrestler than him, and that's why I won, but I'm not happy with my performance. And if I'm going to win the next match, I gotta be better than that. What clicks in your brain that says, okay, between the semifinals and the finals, I've got to go back and do this so that I come back and I fulfill my duty today?
Stuff like that is it's more of a state of mind than it is a technical an adjustment. It's basically after the semis match, I didn't like where my headspace was at. I didn't like how I finished that match. I felt like I was just trying to hang on and let time run out, and that's not right. That's not how I train. It's not how I'm coached. It's not how I was raised. It's just not what I agree with. And I didn't like that I did that. It's cost me matches in the past, and it's not right. So, they caught me at a bad time. I was a little frustrated with myself. So I said some maybe out of pocket things during that post-match interview, but I'm apologetic that, I said it in the way that I did, but I stand by the message was, right? I didn't like how I wrestled, and just because I won a big match doesn't make what I did okay. I think that's there's probably a lesson in there, right? Just because you won doesn't mean it's good, right? Because you can work really hard. Like what I just said, if you do all this hard work and you get a lot out, you're going to beat guys, even though maybe you didn't wrestle great. And you can't be afraid to recognize when you wrestle well and when you wrestle poorly. And, that was kind of the main thing, was just, I didn't wrestle the way I wanted to. And they called me at a bad time, so I'm glad I was able to turn around and kind of wrestle a better finals match.
They need to put your interview this year and Spencer Lee's interview together from last year, both of you simultaneously giving us some of the best quotes we've ever had. And now we're going to have many great shirts out there. And the Have Nuts shirts, by the way, are going to be available at the Spartan tournament. So yes, if you wrestle all three, you're going to get a nice Spartan Combat shirt. They're going to sign it for you. If you want the Have Nuts shirt, you can purchase one at the stands, and I'm sure he'll be happy to sign it anywhere you want it signed. But yeah, come out, ask him more questions, pick his brain. That's what he's there for. Train with him, learn from him, listen to him. I mean, he's a proven commodity, right? So we want to learn, and it's not just him, but you can see his brothers are doing great things as well coming up, and obviously through the family line has been tremendous. Parents are obviously got to be proud as heck of you guys, and it was pretty cool to see you win one this year. It was my first time ever at the NCAAs, and I really enjoyed myself. So congratulations. I look forward to meeting you in person and seeing you there. I got to meet your little brother at the Scuffle. He looked like a miniature version of you. So it was awesome. But yeah, so you're coming in. What days will you be there?
So we'll be getting in late on the 7th. We'll be there the 8th and the 9th, and then we'll head out the night of the 10th. So basically 8 to 10, we'll be there. We'll be available. And like I said, we're there for you guys. So get out there, get talking to us, ask us whatever you need. We're here to help. So anything we can do, 8th to the 10th of April, we'll be there.
And if anybody needs like a 45, 48 pounder on their dual team, okay, he's down. That might not be fair, but it's cool. All right, man. Thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate you doing this with me. I look forward to meeting you and at the Spartan Nationals. Everybody, thanks for tuning in. Get out there, get to see these guys, get to meet them. And you have a great night, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.